August 1930. The Norwegian sealing vessel Bratvåg anchors off the coast of a remote frozen rock in the middle of the Arctic Ocean. It is Kvitøya, White Island, a place so desolate, so unforgiving, that it is usually locked behind a fortress of impenetrable pack ice. But this summer is strangely warm. The ice has retreated just enough to let them land. Two sealers, hunting for walrus, stumble upon something that shouldn't be there. A canvas boat bleached by 33 years of snow. And beside it, a body, frozen perfectly against the rock. Inside a pocket of the decaying clothes, they find a diary. Its pages are wet, frozen solid, glued together by decades of ice. But when they are finally opened, they reveal the terrifying day-by-day account of a slow, cold descent into madness. This is not just a story of a crash. This is the diary of the eagle. To understand the horror of the end, we must understand the hubris of the beginning. The year is 1897. The North Pole is the final prize of exploration, the last blank spot on the map. While others tried to reach it with sled dogs and ships, a Swedish engineer named Salomon August Andrée had a different idea. He wouldn't fight the ice, he would float above it. Andrée proposed a hydrogen balloon, the Eagle. It was a monstrosity of silk and varnish, standing 20 meters tall. He claimed he had invented a revolutionary steering system using heavy drag ropes that would trail along the ground, allowing him to steer the balloon against the wind. The scientific community was skeptical. The balloon had never been properly tested in extreme conditions, but Andrée was a national hero in Sweden. The pressure to launch was overwhelming. He wasn't just a man, he was the symbol of a nation's ambition. Joining him were two younger men, Knut Frankel, a robust engineer, and Niels Strindberg, a brilliant physicist and photographer, only 24 years old. Strindberg was in love. He left behind a fiancée, Anna, promising he would return to marry her. In his pocket, he carried a locket with her picture. He didn't know that he was already a ghost. July 11th, 1897. Danes Island, Svalbard. The wind is blowing from the south, perfect for a push toward the pole. The order is given. Cut away! The Eagle rises. But immediately, disaster strikes. As the balloon lifts, the friction of the drag ropes against the launch structure causes them to unscrew. Hundreds of kilograms of essential steering equipment drop into the ocean before they even clear the harbor. The crowd below cheers, thinking it's part of the plan. But in the basket, the three men must have exchanged a look of pure terror. Without those ropes, the Eagle was not a dirigible airship. It was just a bubble of gas at the mercy of the wind. They were not flying to the pole. They were drifting into oblivion. For 65 hours, they stayed aloft. But the Arctic had a weapon Andrée hadn't calculated: freezing fog. Moisture condensed on the silk envelope and froze instantly, adding tons of weight to the delicate balloon. The diary entries from these hours are frantic. They threw everything overboard to stay in the air. Sandbags, food, equipment. It wasn't enough. The Eagle was being swatted down by the hand of God. On July 14th, the balloon collapsed onto the pack ice. They were stranded at 83 degrees north. They had plenty of food, guns, and sleds. They were alive. But they were hundreds of miles from civilization, standing on a frozen ocean that was constantly moving. This is where the true nightmare began. They named their landing site the Eagle's Grave. They packed their sleds, weighing over 200 kilograms each, and began to walk. Their goal was Cape Flora, where a depot of food awaited them. But the ice of the Arctic Ocean is not land. It is a conveyor belt. Day after day, they pulled their sleds over colossal ridges of ice, sweating in their heavy wool clothes, freezing when they stopped. They marched for 10 hours a day. But when Strindberg calculated their position at night, His heart must have sunk. They were walking southeast, but the current was carrying the ice drift northwest. They were on a demonic treadmill. For every mile they walked forward, the ocean carried them 2 miles back. The diaries shift tone. The confidence of the scientist fades. The desperation of the survivor takes over. They began to suffer from snow blindness and dysentery. They hunted polar bears for meat, eating the raw blubber and steaks. It was this bear meat that likely sealed their fate. But for now, the immediate threat was the coming winter. By September, the sun began to dip below the horizon. The 24-hour daylight was ending. Darkness was coming. Realizing they could never reach the depot, they changed plans. They decided to winter on the ice floe itself. They built a house made of snow and ice blocks. They called it the home. For a brief moment, they had hope. They drifted south toward Kvitøya, White Island. October 2nd, 1897. Just as they prepared to settle in for the long polar night, disaster struck again. The ice floe beneath their home shattered. The pressure of the ocean cracked their foundation right under their sleeping bags. Their shelter was destroyed. Their equipment was scattered into the freezing slush. Scrambling for their lives, they managed to drag their gear onto the rocky shore of White Island. They had finally reached land, but it was a tomb. They were exhausted, freezing, and sick. And this is where the diary entries become sparse. We know they set up a tent. We know they had food, lots of it. Cans of meat, chocolate, and the bear meat they had hunted. They had fuel for their stove. They had guns. Yet, within days of landing on the island, they were all dead. Strindberg likely died first. He was buried in a shallow cleft of rocks. Andrée and Frankel didn't even have the strength to bury him properly. They died inside the tent. Andrée's diary ends abruptly on October 8th. The last pages are missing or illegible. What killed them? Was it the cold? Dehydration? For decades, experts believed it was trichinosis, a parasite from the undercooked bear meat that causes agonizing muscle pain and fever. Others suggest botulism from their canned food, or simply carbon monoxide poisoning from cooking inside a sealed tent. They simply went to sleep and never woke up. When the Kvitøya expedition found them 33 years later, the most haunting discovery wasn't the bodies. It was the rolls of undeveloped film in Strindberg's camera. Miraculously, experts were able to develop them. 3 decades after their death, the ghosts of Andrée, Strindberg, and Frankel appeared in the dark room. We see them standing by the crashed balloon. We see them dragging the sleds. We see the look in their eyes. Not of fear, but of determination. In the end, they got their wish. They became part of Arctic history. But the price was a slow, cold death on a forgotten island, waiting for a rescue that would only arrive a lifetime too late. The Eagle had landed, but its crew would never fly again. What do you think really happened in those final days on White Island? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into the ice, like and subscribe for more stories of disasters and the macabre. Until next time.